Australia has made it tougher for international students to get visas. It has increased the amount of money a student must have as savings in order to actually enter Australia. The required amount will now be 75% of the national minimum wage. Effective today, as in 10th of May, students will have to show they have at least 16,29,964 rupees to qualify for a visa. That's nearly 16,30,000 rupees. The government is tightening visa rules after reports of lots of people moving to Australia since the COVID-19 restrictions were actually lifted back in 2022. But this has caused problems like a shortage of rental homes. Well, to help us understand how these rules impact Indian students, we have with us immigration expert Rohit Sharma. Thanks so much, Rohit, for joining us. You know, the latest Home Affairs data in Australia shows that visas granted to Indian students actually fell by 48% if we're talking about December 2022 and between December 2023. Now that Australia has tougher visa conditions, how likely is this to discourage Indian students from considering Australia as an option to pursue higher studies?
Yeah, very good morning to start with, and thank you for calling me on this show. As regard this dip in the number, that obviously is expected, when you are raising the bar, not only on the fund requirement that are required to be shown, but also they have put restrictions on IELTS requirements as well, like they have raised the bar in that side as well. Having said so, it is not just specific to Indian students. The Australian government is being pretty concerned about the rising rentals, and at the same time,
yes,
the number of students that actually have increased in the last 1 year or so, record 650,000. In fact, immigrants actually are being increased in the last year until February 29th itself. So yes, a matter of concern for students, because as and when they are going to raise the bar, there will always be a filter that certain students will not be able to qualify.
Yes, but this is the second time in 7 months that the amount of savings has been increased, following a previous hike in October, if I'm not wrong. Meanwhile, many offshore students are experiencing visa refusals, while others lots of students complain that they're scared to travel back home because they fear that their visas will be cancelled upon their return to Australia.
So to start with, as far as you are meeting the requirements of the study visa, whatever the enhanced requirements they are, so if you are meeting them, it's not that they are refusing the applications just like that. So, and it is not also that whatever laws that they are introducing now, they are implementing on the already applied applicants. So student visa refusal is not happening because of any increase in the bar. If you are meeting the credentials, you can still apply and can actually qualify for the process.
Right.
And as regard, the concern that if you are staying in Australia and during your breaks or so, if you want to come back, as far as you are meeting the visa regulations, they are not going to stop you from that. That's for sure.
We're also hearing of an anticipated hike in student visa fees in the May budget. Surely that's likely to impact the share of international students and perhaps decrease it further, right?
Yeah, that is there. They are obviously tightening up the screw. Having said so, also one has to understand that Australia, when it comes to international student export, it is relying so much on, this is one of the biggest industry, in fact, almost quantum at USD 50 billions. So it's not that Australia is shutting the door on students internationally. It is just that they are tightening up a bit to ensure that that they are able to uphold the integrity of their education sector as well. Because all said and done, there are many students also who actually take this option of study to land in those countries, go for temporary jobs there, and eventually make it their home rather than having an objective to study. So the students who actually want to study in Australia, they shouldn't be, fearing about it. They should simply go by as per the regulatory requirements are there and can actually apply and go by. Yes, you pay more if you are actually wanting to study in Australia. That entire idea is to also ensure the student is not falling into financial distress once they're in Australia. There are so many ways they want the students not to be exploited as well. They are also looking at the quality, and more important, this I'm saying, they're looking at the genuine intent of a student to go study and live in Australia. They're not shutting the door at all.
In fact, the Home Affairs Minister there has said that the government recognizes that change is hard, but migration is too high, and their focus is actually to bring it to sustainable levels. Thank you so much, Rohit, for joining us on The World 24/7.
Pleasure is mine. Thank you.